An arrest is made in a local road rage shooting that got the whole nation's attention.
Are you all happy? You made my wife look like an animal and my son. There's the animal.
We hear from the husband of the victim about why he's so upset with the media that had him lashing out at reporters today.
And who is this teenage suspect? We're digging into his online life to find out where he went to school and if he's been in trouble before.
Another day of hearings in that child abuse case that rocked Metro detectives. Why the state says Deborah Sena could have done more to stop years of alleged abuse.
Now, Nevada's first choice for news. This is 8 News Now at 4.
I couldn't say a few things because I promised not to, or it would have hurt the investigation. We know this boy. I couldn't tell you this before. He knew where I lived. We knew how bad he was, but we didn't know he was this bad.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Denise Valdez.
And I'm Paul Johnsich. That was Robert Myers. He's the husband of Tammy Myers, who was shot and killed after a road rage incident a week ago today.
Metro Police say they have the suspect who shot and killed the mother of 4 now behind bars. We're waiting to hear the latest, though, from Metro Police about 19-year-old Eric Milton Nausch Jr. They are preparing for a press conference. We will bring you that live in just about 15 minutes.
Now, here's a picture Metro provided us as Nausch was taken to police headquarters after a nearly hour-long standoff with police just after lunch today. And we have live team coverage. Joe Bartels on scene giving us a rundown of the very chaotic day in that Las Vegas neighborhood. Patrick Walker is digging into just who Eric Nausch is, and Petronja Puswan gets an idea of what went on today from the perspective of neighbors.
But let's start with Joe Bartels, who is live near Buffalo and Alta. Joe?
Well, Denise and Paul, it was absolute chaos this morning. Police, they're still on the scene. They're just off to my left and out of the camera's view. They're watching this home behind me here. This is where that barricade happened. Around 11:30 this morning, Bob Myers, the husband of Tammy Myers, got into a confrontation in front of the suspect's home, which again is just a block away from the shooting scene.
Are you all happy? You made my wife look like an animal and my son. There's the animal a block away.
That was Bob Myers yelling at reporters and news cameras this morning. Moments later, police descended on the area, a police helicopter overhead, and members of the SWAT team rushed in. Just a block away from the Myers family home was Eric Milton Nausch Jr. Neighbors say they heard police telling him over a loudspeaker to come out with his hands up. After about an hour-long standoff, police say Myers was taken into custody without incident. What is not clear is what led up to the Bob Myers confrontation, but we now know the suspect somehow knew the victim's family. I spoke to Bob Myers over the phone about an hour before the whole situation unfolded.
There's a lot that's not getting said, and I'm really getting upset about it because it's getting twisted on my son. My wife, everybody knows, probably should have came home and stayed home. She panicked because she knew these guys were behind.
Bob Myers there talking about the social media backlash his family has faced since the shooting. At first, the family said Tammy and her 15-year-old daughter were followed home after a roadway confrontation. According to the family, it was at that point the shooting happened. Then police told us a different story in which Tammy and her oldest son, who was armed with a gun, went back out after the initial roadway confrontation to look for the suspects. Police say that's when Tammy and her oldest son returned home the night of February 12th, and Tammy was shot. So back out here live, police are wrapping up their on-scene investigation, and they're trying to get things returned back to normal in this neighborhood. Reporting live, Joe Bartels, 8 News Now.
Joe, so many neighbors were outside their home while this standoff was playing out. What are neighbors saying about the suspect who was arrested today?
Well, we spoke to one next-door neighbor, and they said the 19-year-old suspect really doesn't look anything like the composite sketch that police released. They also said that he doesn't drive, nor does he own a vehicle, so they're not exactly sure how this suspect works into the description that police had given us. Police out here did not take any questions at the scene, so we're waiting on some more information from Metro Police. Back to you.
Joe, thanks.
We continue our team coverage now with Patrick Walker, who is in the studio here with us.
Patrick, what have you learned about the suspect?
Well, one thing that we have learned, I think it's important to point out that we do not know much about the criminal background, we've been trying to look into that, but there's a little bit of confusion, and that's because he shares the same name as his dad, who has now died. But we can tell you we are getting a better picture of who he is. Now, Metro tweeted out this picture of Nausch after he was arrested. CCSD confirms he was a student at Bonanza High School in the 2011-2012 school year, also for part of the 2012-2013 school year. He did not finish school there, and the district is not able to confirm where or if he did finish school somewhere else. Now, these are some photos from his Facebook and Instagram pages that we've pulled from 2013 and 2014, and you can see police arrested him just around the corner, as we've been talking about, from where Tammy Myers was shot and killed last week. He lives with his mother at their Cherry River Drive home, and property records show the family has owned that house since 1998. That's when Eric would have been a toddler. Some of Nausch's neighbors seem to have known him pretty well.
Doesn't match the description. He's a short young man. He's 19 years old. Does not drive. Doesn't look anything to me. Doesn't look anything like the composite.
Well, here is that composite sketch. Take a look, and here's the most recent photo on the right that we could pull. Police, that's about all they had to go on for the description when they put that out there. Now, I have reached out this afternoon to Eric's mother, the homeowner, to see if we could get her son's side of the story, rather. So far, I have not heard back. Of course, we'll continue trying, and if we do, we'll let you know. Paul and Denise.
Thanks, Patrick.
Thanks, Patrick. Let's get to Petrania Puswan now. She's live in the neighborhood where everything went down today.
Petrania, neighbors had a front row seat for all of this today, didn't they?
Yeah, as you can imagine, they are relieved that this is all over. These are the people who live right in the same block as the victim, just right around the corner from the suspect. And they are the ones who heard the gunshots that night of the shooting, saw the aftermath, and now this morning witnessed the arrest as it happened.
I feel relieved. It's a tragedy for both sides of the family, so I'm glad that, it worked out the way it did.
And that was Kristen Jones, who heard the news of this standoff this morning from her daughter, who attends nearby middle school, where the campus was actually locked down for a time. A lot of neighbors who gathered around the area that police had barricaded off say that they knew of the victim's family, but were surprised to find out that the suspect lives just around the corner from the crime scene.
Surprisingly, only a few houses away from mine, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
That could have happened to me or any of my other neighbors, So I got family too. It feels a little bit of relief, knowing that now he's arrested.
And that's the feeling around this neighborhood, is that they're glad this incident is finally over and no one got hurt, especially during the standoff this morning. Authorities were apparently prepared for any kind of emergency. When we first got to the scene just minutes before the arrest happened, there were a number of ambulances on scene ready for anything to happen. For now, reporting live near Alta and Buffalo, Petrania Puswan, 8 News Now.
All right, Petrania, thank you. The other big story of the day, a judge still needs to decide if one of the women accused in taking part in years of sexual abuse will go to trial and face a jury.
Deborah Senna's attorney says she is also a victim and that her husband, Christopher, forced her to have sex with children.
Lauren Rosella is live outside the Regional Justice Center. Lauren?
Yeah, so throughout all of this, Deborah Senna and her attorney have maintained that her husband, Christopher Senna, forced her to do these sex acts with children. That's why they rejected a plea deal earlier this month. They say that she too was a victim and that she was subjected to years of verbal and physical abuse at the hands of Christopher Senna. However, the district attorney's office says that may not be the case. The state today presented a case saying that Deborah Senna could have done a lot more to stop the abuse of children and that every sexual act she committed with them was willful.
There's not one single time where that defendant stops and looks anywhere and says, please no, don't make me do it, let's not, it's not right.
Deborah, her husband, Christopher Senna, and his ex-wife, Terry Senna, are all accused of sexually abusing children for years. They were arrested late last year. So far, Terry Senna has pleaded guilty to 1 count of sexual assault. Also, Christopher Senna was in court this morning. They announced his next court date. Now, as for whether or not Deborah Senna will go to trial, a judge still has to make that decision, and she's expected to make her ruling on that come February 25th. Reporting live outside the Regional Justice Center, Lauren Rosella, 8 News Now.
Still ahead here, keeping Valley roads safe.
What police were handing out instead of tickets today to make sure drivers obey the rules of the road.
And when will it end? That is the question on much of the country's minds when it comes to this cold weather. Why farmers all the way in Florida are now worried.
You're watching 8 News Now at 4 with Denise Valdez and Paul Johnsich. The news of Southern Nevada is now.
Buckle up and save lives. Local law enforcement pounded the pavement today to remind people to wear a seatbelt. Today, officers targeted out-of-towners at McCarran International Airport. Last year alone, Las Vegas had 40 million visitors. Many of them drive when they're here, so officers passed out safety flyers reminding people about the dangers of riding in a car without a seatbelt.
It is the law, and it does reduce injuries or even can prevent you from becoming a critical injury or fatality. But for whatever reason, maybe two people are too big of a hurry. Maybe they're just prone to not wearing a seatbelt. Just one more reminder.
Today's action, part of ongoing efforts by Southern Nevada agencies to reduce the number of deaths on local roads. 93 people died on roads within Metro's jurisdiction in 2014. 19 of those weren't wearing a seatbelt.
Helicopter down for repairs, so Ken Smith is in the studio with us this afternoon, where, as usual, the I-15 is another trouble spot today, Ken.
It is, and also we have an accident along Sahara just approaching I-15, so it's affecting our surface streets as well. I can show you with our Beat the Traffic maps and show you the area that we're talking about. This is along Sahara, heading eastbound, just approaching Interstate 15. The accident's relatively minor, but it's been blocking the left-hand lane for quite some time. You can also see northbound I-15, some heavy delays there, a lot of red and yellow travel flows on both sides of the interstate. Let's take a live look outside here and show you the activity. Once again, it looks like it's going to be right here, and they may have just cleared it out of the way, actually, just in the last couple of minutes. We did see a tow truck there just a second ago, but the delays, they still remain. Delays start back about Valley View, heading on the eastbound side, just trying to get over toward I-15. This camera shot is located right near the area of the Palace Station Casino. Our other fast camera here showing you heavy delays along 95, heading on the southbound side. It is packed in like a sardine, especially the folks trying to head through and to downtown Las Vegas. Your travel times right now, if you're going to be going here from the 215, the Spaghetti Bowl, 16-minute drive time, southbound, unlucky number 13. Denise and Paul, back over to you.
All right, we'll talk about a great consolation prize.
Yeah, just how much swag is in those bags handed out to celebrities on Oscar night?
Now, Nevada's first choice for news. This is 8 News Now at 4.
The frigid winter weather continues to stick around the upper Midwest over to the Northeast and even in the deep South now. Schools and city offices are closed in many parts of the eastern U.S. And with weather so cold, there is growing concern about frostbite and hypothermia. There have also been hundreds of accidents, especially in areas where drivers are not accustomed to snow and ice.
It's crazy. First snow we get, and we got to deal with something like this.
And people in Florida are even starting to worry about the cold, especially citrus growers. They're having to use pumps and water to protect their crops from a potential freeze. If that happens, if the citrus crops are damaged, we could really see some price increases at the grocery store.
Guys, I'm going to take it from here. We have been standing by for Metro Police to give a statement about today's arrest and that deadly road rage shooting that happened about a week ago. Looking at it at the corner of my eye, just got underway, so let's listen into Metro.
This incident has understandably captured a great deal of attention due to the nature of this case, as well as the link to present-day issues concerning road rage. I understand that there is a pressing concern to quickly resolve the story for the public. However, these investigations unfold much more slowly than the news cycle would prefer. Please keep in mind this investigation is still dynamic and ongoing, and investigators still have a lot of work to do before a more comprehensive summary can be provided to you. We have an obligation to Mrs. Myers and her family to be thorough and methodical. We still have at least one more suspect to locate. When Tammy Myers was shot and killed outside her home, it shocked this community. I believe when people learned the death was a result of a road rage incident, it frightened many people because this is not how anyone should resolve a dispute. As most of you know already, one suspect was taken into custody earlier today by Metro Police after a brief standoff at his home. Earlier this morning, an arrest warrant for open murder was issued by the Clark County District Attorney's Office for Eric Nausch, age 19, for his involvement in the shooting of Tammy Myers on February 12th. Nosh was taken into custody by Metro homicide investigators, and the investigation is ongoing. We will provide additional information at the earliest possible convenience to balance the public's need to know with our legal and investigative needs to further the completion of a thorough criminal investigation. I'm sure many of you will leave with more questions than answers. However, the real takeaway here is that the suspect involved in the killing of Mrs. Myers is in custody and off the streets of Las Vegas. Thank you.
Could you give us spellings, please, of her name and the suspect's name?
My name is Chris Tomaino, Christomaino, and the suspect's last name is spelled Nowsch.
Common spelling on Eric?
For that guy in the sketch?
I do not believe so, no.
Common spelling on Eric?
Yes, E-R-I-C.
Captain, did police know that the Myers family knew the suspect, and if so, why weren't we given a more accurate description? And it seemed like it was more of a general manhunt rather than someone they knew.
That's accurate, and that didn't all come together until today.
Police did not know that until today, that the Myers family knew him?
We did not know that.
That sketch, that description, 6 feet tall, late 20s to early 30s, does not even closely match Eric from his look. Was that description of the other suspect, or does that give us any indication, or why was that so different?
I will tell you that will make more sense when we provide that comprehensive summary of the investigation. There's just so much in motion at this point in time. It's very difficult to provide that. We're trying to satisfy the needs of the media news cycle without compromising our ability to put together a report that makes sense.
Was he the shooter, or was he the only shooter involved?
It is believed right now that he's the only shooter, but there is another suspect involved in the incident.
Could anyone in the Myers family face charges?
At this point, I don't know that would be an option. That would be something that the district attorney's office can analyze, and we would be in conference with them as we proceed forward with the case and analyze all the facts and circumstances surrounding it.
Did Eric have a gun permit or a firearm registered to him?
He had firearms registered to him.
Captain, the timeline that we got on Monday, is that what we're working with right now, of how events played out? Or on Tuesday, rather.
This is the final comment I'll leave you with, is that in any investigation, we have multiple people to interview and facts to analyze. So initial information is not always accurate, and that's why you have to complete a thorough investigation, interview multiple people, and compare notes and results of those interviews. Thank you.
All right, you've been listening to an update from Metro headquarters on the road rage homicide arrest that was made today shortly after lunchtime. Here's the new information that we learned. One, they're still looking for one more suspect, someone who was in the car with the suspected shooter who they believe they arrested today. And two, the description they were given from the Myers family of a man who was 6 foot, 180 pounds, and the sketch that was made up wasn't even close to the person that they arrested today. And police were not told by the Myers family that they knew the suspect. So that was very interesting, and that may explain why police came out. They announced they'd have a briefing, but they came out and said, we're not ready really to have a briefing.
Yeah, to take a lot of questions anyway. And they haven't ruled out any more charges, so it seems like that is also something that's still dynamic.
Very unusual case.
All right, we are going to take a short break and be back with a look at your weather forecast right after this.
All right, time for us to change gears a little bit. Talk about the weather. You can feel it, Ted. It's cooling down here, but nothing like Chicago, where the wind chill was what?
Minus 23, guys.
Oh my
Minus
gosh.
23. I just mentioned it during our break, and Ken Smith over here commented, better them than us. He's right? 73 degrees temperatures right now, high clouds. And guess what? The cold weather is stretching all the way down to Florida. We just talked about that. Winds on the calm side, it's very dry, humidity at 11%. Outside, we've got those high clouds. I think they're going to be around also throughout much of your evening. Here are your temperatures outside currently. Summerlin at 70 degrees, Aliante at 71, 73 for Sunrise Mountain, along with Nellis, 72 for St. Rose Parkway. Parkway, Henderson, downtown Water Street, currently at 74. 75 for Boulder City, 72 Searchlight, low 80s for Laughlin, always warmer for you downriver. Laughlin and Prim at 79, currently at double 7s at this hour, and 73 for Mesquite. So, onto it here. Looks like Chicago, wind chill, well, they got -10 readings here, but there's some areas at -23, and they're going to get even colder again tonight. -6 for Minneapolis. This is with the wind on your skin. Feels like 13 degrees in Atlanta, feels like 33 in Florida with that wind chill. Can you believe that? Florida, Orlando feels like 37 degrees. That's Ken's hometown out there. Here's our West Coast radar. We've got the ridge and the jet stream sort of flattening out a bit. There's the low right here. And what we're going to see is that low sort of pass off towards the east, and that is what's going to cool us down and also increase some winds. So here's what to expect. Nearly 10 degrees cooler by Saturday. 60s stay for a while. We're going to be below average for our highs, actually, early on in the week. And then guess what? Just a chance of some mountain snow early on the week next week. Tonight, we drop to 53 degrees. Scattered clouds tonight. It's going to be cool tonight. Tomorrow high will be 77, mild and sunny with some high clouds. We will get close to the record, but I don't think we'll touch it. Temperatures will be in the high 70s across the valley for tomorrow. 7-day forecast shows temperatures actually warm up tomorrow, and that's it. After that, they go down, and then we see these numbers right at or below normal for Monday and Tuesday, and back to the high 60s later on in the week. Guys, back to you.
Ted, thanks very much. Now we're continuing our coverage on that arrest in the deadly road rage shooting.
We have invited a mental health expert in to talk about what triggers road rage and how to avoid it.
Now, Nevada's first choice for news. This is 8 News Now at 4.
Thanks for staying with us. Some big developments today in that investigation into the Las Vegas road rage shooting that turned deadly.
Today, police have taken into custody 19-year-old Eric Milton Nausch, Jr. into custody. Police surrounded a home just about a block away from the victim, Tammy Myers' house. Within an hour, they took him into custody. Now, you might remember this all started back on February 12th when Tammy Myers was teaching her 15-year-old daughter how to drive. Another driver sped near the car, and the two ended up in some kind of an argument. But this is where we start hearing conflicting reports. The Myers family says Tammy was shot at before she returned home. Metro Police say Tammy returned home, went back out looking for the car, and then was shot. Tammy's husband, Bob, says too many people jumped to conclusions and they had to keep things quiet so police could do their job, including the fact that Tammy knew the suspected shooter.
We know this boy. I couldn't tell you this before. He knew where I lived because she was really good to him. She fed him, she gave him money. She told him to pull his pants up and to be a man. Oh, more times than I can count. But none of you knew this before because it would have hurt what these great Metro detectives were trying to accomplish.
Police say they just found out today that the Myers knew the suspect and they are still looking for another person involved in this shooting. Now, we are learning more about the relationship between the Myers family and the suspect.
8 News Now reporter Karen Castro is live in front of the family's home where the victim's husband gave a statement about an hour ago. Karen?
Paul and Denise, the husband, Robert Myers, said he couldn't say that his family knew the suspect because fearing that it would jeopardize the investigation. He said his family went back after that night of the shooting on Thursday looking for that suspect, fearing that he would come back because they knew where he lived. He also said that since new information came about on this case, his son has been receiving death threats, but he's defending his son, saying he's a good boy.
That have been said about my son. There was opportunity chance for things to be vigilante. My son never took it to that. The whole purpose of them leaving here that night is because now you know. They knew where we lived. My son is a good boy. And his mom was a good mommy.
Now, Robert did not take any questions from the media. He only spoke to us briefly, less than 10 minutes. But throughout the afternoon, we have seen family members come in and out of the Myers home. In fact, we did try to approach several of them to get input on how they felt about the arrest come about, but no one wanted to speak. Reporting live, Karen Castro, 8 News Now.
All right, Karen, thanks very much. We wanted to dig deeper into road rage and find out what causes drivers to snap and completely lose their temper in traffic. Dr. Stephen Sinnert is an expert in anger management. And doctor, it happens to all of us at one time or another. Someone cuts you off or irritates you by driving dangerously, too close or whatever. What should you do?
Probably the best thing to do is just let them go. Don't attack back. Anger is a normal emotion, and we get angry when we sense we're being attacked by somebody else. Years ago, there was a commercial, one of the car companies, buy our car, own a piece of the road. So now when you're driving, you are mentally thinking that you own that piece of road.
We're all thinking the same thing.
Exactly. And somebody comes along and takes that from you by cutting you off. That is an attack. And basically what you want to do is just let it go.
What is it? A lot of us have grown up to think that it's healthier to vent your anger, whether that be to slam on the horn or say, hey, whatever. But is it healthier to kind of swallow it?
Well, it's actually healthy to vent your anger in a good way. Most people don't know how to do that, and that's why they need anger management training.
How should we do it?
Well, just express your feelings and state your needs. I'm sorry. This happened, just let them go.
We heard from a Metro detective yesterday. They held a news conference in the street saying, listen, when you accidentally cut someone off, which is the cause of so many confrontations on the road, you throw up your hands, you say sorry. You're trying to say you're sorry, and the driver next to you thinks you're flipping the bird or something.
Well, don't flip the bird.
Right.
If you can, just say you're sorry and drive carefully.
Good advice. We can all make things better on the roads by being more courteous. But it's when I'm being courteous and the other guy is not that really gets me crazy. Help me out.
Absolutely. Just let them go. You can't control what the other person does, so stop trying. Control yourself.
Control yourself. Now, this is important. Say you've had an accident, and you're on the side of the road with the other driver, and the other driver is getting angry. What's the best way to diffuse his or her anger?
Well, probably the best way is, again, to express your feelings, state your needs. If you have a cell phone, call the police. I know some policemen are not responding now to traffic accidents, but most people, if you don't get angry, if you seem to be acting in a calm, cool, and collected way, the other person is not going to attack you.
All right, very good. Good information, good advice. Dr. Stephen Sinnert, an expert in anger management. Thank you very much, sir. Something we can all learn from. Denise?
Yeah, thank you, gentlemen. Hopefully we have some cooler heads out there on the roads this afternoon. Anything frustrating our drivers today, Ken?
Well, I got some good news and bad news in regard to construction. And of course, I know that can really frustrate, infuriate drivers. You see people making sometimes dangerous U-turns and stuff around the valley. Today, though, first off, the bad news here. If you're going to be traveling along Warm Springs, we're still dealing with that road repaving project. This is going to be eastbound along Warm Springs, just between Spencer, heading out towards Eastern Avenue. So keep that in mind. However, the sewer line project that's been going on here along Sunset approaching Eastern, that has gone on hiatus. We haven't heard why, but the bottom line is we'll take it. Let's take a live look outside. And first off, show you the bad news. This is going to be right here along Warm Springs at Eastern, where traffic very heavy with numerous cones out there. It looks like a DMV driving course along this stretch of Warm Springs. Now, here's the good news as we go to our other fast camera. Right now, all lanes are open, so no major delays. So things are looking good along Sunset. So today, you can actually use that. Let's take a look at our travel times right now, though. If you're going to be traveling along Interstate 15, it is heavy on the northbound side with our real sky camera showing you those delays. And here they are from the 215 to the Spaghetti Bowl. We're sitting right now, Denise, at about a 20-minute drive time.
All right, Ken, thanks. Well, what is the future looking like for businesses in Southern Nevada? Well, today, many local business leaders met to talk about the region's economic forecast. The meeting at the Four Seasons Las Vegas, hosted by the City National Bank, gave leaders a better perspective. The group Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance took part in today's event. Leaders of that organization say business is growing locally, and it's not just growth in tourism.
We have a long way to go, but we do see some growth in certain sectors. There's growth in the tech economy. We see some growth happening in logistics and goods movement economy. Obviously, tourism and conventions are growing again in Southern Nevada.
Last year, Southern Nevada retained and attracted more than 3,800 businesses.
A deadly strain of bacteria claims 2 lives.
just how close this outbreak is to us and the concerns the CDC has about it spreading across the country.
You're watching 8 News Now at 4 with Denise Valdez and Paul Johnsich. The news of Southern Nevada is now.
We've reported on homeless students in the Clark County school system, and the district might be able to learn from school leaders in San Francisco. More than 20% of the country's homeless students are in California, and that's the most of any state. A homeless advocate in San Francisco wants to make sure those students are still able to succeed.
Compared to their peers, less than half of homeless students are at grade level for reading or math. More than half are likely to be held back a grade.
Jeff Kositsky's nonprofit has now set up rapid response teams with the San Francisco School District to help families. He says 93% of the families the Hamilton Family Center helps to house never become homeless again.
There is some new top brass at Walmart, and they are giving employees a raise. 500,000 full and part-time Walmart and Sam's Club employees will be seeing a bump in their paychecks. That is going to start in April. The raise will take them to $9 an hour, and that's $1.75 an hour above the current federal minimum wage. Next year, they'll get another bump to $10 an hour. The company said employees will also have more control over their schedules.
On the snowy streets of Chicago, a doggy daycare van that was stolen yesterday with 5 to 9 dogs inside has been recovered. The van was found a few miles from where it was stolen, parked on the street. The owners of these dogs were afraid their pets might freeze to death overnight. As you know, it's been hovering around zero and below zero. But we're happy to report they survived overnight, and they are all okay and safe at home tonight.
So many of those dog owners were out driving around in the streets of Chicago looking for their dogs, but all of them found safe. At one time, milk was delivered right to your door. Remember those days? Well, now a whole grocery bag can be on the way.
The stores that are in on the new demand delivery and how it works to get you stuff in less than an hour.
Nevada's first choice for news. This is 8 News Now at 4.
If you're tired of driving to the grocery store, parking, and then wandering around till you find what you're looking for, some tech companies want to help you out. It's part of a new wave of delivery services that's promising to give consumers instant gratification and groceries. Instacart is one of those apps. You punch in your zip code, select the items you want to buy, and enter a delivery time. And designated shoppers then deliver everything right to your door in as little as an hour.
It is a massive convenience, and we're having a baby this spring, and I imagine we'll be using it even more.
Now, Instacart's sales skyrocketed from $1 million in 2012 to $100 million in 2014. The first delivery is free and between $3.99 and $5.99 after that. Their websites show they are partners with stores like Whole Foods, Costco, and Petco, and it has not launched in Southern Nevada just yet, but you can sign up to be notified when it does.
Well, you probably could feel the difference out there today. We had some nice clouds out there, kind of a change of pace for us, right, Ted?
Yeah, guys, we call it filtered sunshine when we're getting outside right now, and it allowed the temperatures to cool off a little bit, and it looks like those clouds will be around also for tomorrow, too. Your weather headlines, we've got one more mild day of temperatures in the 70s, and then we're going to cool down for Saturday, and then next week, guess what? We're staying in those 60s. Really not going to reach the 70s, nor will we reach any records next week, that's for sure. Backyard forecast, always looking forward to the weekend. 77 for tomorrow, cooler on Saturday at 69 degrees, maybe in the mid-60s only for Sunday with some more clouds, and we could start to see some of those breezes on Sunday too. Temperature outside 73 degrees, mild in Phoenix 79, 59 for Flagstaff. We go over to LA, there 68 degrees, low 60s for San Francisco. Reno right now checking in at 68 degrees. Outside the valley, take a look at the lower 48. You divide the nation in half, and you can see where all the cold weather seems to be stuck at. Way out here where the morning low down in Atlanta could get down to 17, -2 for Detroit. You get to Friday, Saturday morning, and then you start to see those numbers drop again. 31 for Atlanta, still in the teens for Chicago and Detroit. It's just going to be cold there the next couple of days for much of the East Coast and down to the deep south. We go back to the West Coast radar. We've got a few high clouds sort of spilling in over that high over us right now, coming from a disturbance just to the southwest out to sea. And those clouds will be around also for tonight. Unfortunately, they're not going to bring us any type of rainfall. We are watching a low. We're tracking it. That's going to head on down towards the Four Corner states, provide some much-needed snow for the western portions of the Rockies, and it also could provide a chance of some snow also on the mountains here. But one thing was for sure, we're going to see it cool down, and we're going to see some of those breezes too. Your allergy report: ash still remains high. Same for elm, mulberry, and olive. Obviously have not bloomed yet. Evening planner: 71 degrees at 7 p.m. Midnight will drop to 59 degrees. Will cool off even more, about 53 degrees overnight. Look for scattered clouds. Will stay on the cool side. Wind should be less than 10 miles per hour. Your high for tomorrow: 77, and that's it. After tomorrow, we start to see these numbers drop to the 60s. High clouds in the forecast also for tomorrow. 74 for Mesquite, Prima at 77 for the high. About 72 for Searchlight, Laughlin at 81. Here's your 7-day forecast now. Looks like we'll start to see more clouds on Sunday. There's those breezes. Will cool off to the low 60s. That's below average, guys, to the low 60s after being above average for several weeks. And then we'll get to the high 60s again by Thursday, partly sunny skies. I want to show you the temperature variance for the forecast for tomorrow. Forecasted high tomorrow: 77 for Las Vegas. Chicago with wind chill -3. Ooh. Atlanta the high, only 36 for tomorrow. I thought that would make you feel a little better. When you see that, right?
Feeling great right about now.
Yeah, me too. Seriously.
Feel for my friends in Chicago.
That's still, you know, you put the top down in your car, convertible weather, right?
Look at the outside.
All right, let's find out how many people are cruising around in traffic right now. Ken Smith.
Yeah, they probably have the top down or maybe the sunroof open. A beautiful day to drive around the valley, and I like that graphic Ted had with the wiggling thermometer. All right, we're going to take a look here right now. I-15, we do have some heavy delays right there around Sahara heading northbound, and also the Charleston curve on the east side of the valley. That's northbound 95 around the curve. It is slow and go off and on all the way into downtown Las Vegas. Let's take a live look outside here and show you the activity along the 95 freeway, and it is stop and go. You can almost walk faster than some of these drivers along that stretch of the freeway, and you can get a little exercise while you're at it. Our other fast camera here this afternoon showing you the 215 right here around the airport connector. This is exactly where the delays begin on the Southern Beltway. They start here and they continue and extend all the way out to South Jones Boulevard. So keep that in mind. It is the Southern Beltway Blues, as I like to call it, and sometimes during the afternoon. Your travel times here, if you're going to be going from the 215 to the Spaghetti Bowl, we're sitting at about an 18-minute drive time. Now, if you're going from the Spaghetti Bowl down to the 215, it is a little bit better, but still pretty rough afternoon. Denise, back over to you.
All right, it is hard to be a sore loser at the Oscars this year because all of the top nominees will get a nice consolation prize. That prize, a swag bag with $160,000 worth of stuff. All right, what's in there? A $28,000 custom-made piece of Italian furniture. There are beauty products, there are bicycles, there are gadgets, there's even a trip to Italy. The producers are not doing this out of pure generosity, though. They actually make money on these swag bags. Businesses pay a fee of $4,000 to $25,000 to put their merchandise in the hands of celebrities, hoping that later celebrities maybe walk on the red carpet holding their merchandise, and tweet about their trip to Tuscany, whatever.
And the top nominees get this for best actor, actress, and that kind of thing, not the documentary people and the lighting guys.
The A-list.
So the rich get richer. Yes. That's how it works. A deadly superbug outbreak in Southern California.
The hospital now alerting patients and the specific procedure that may have exposed them to a bug that's already claimed 2 lives.
Plus, an act of kindness backfires in our 8 on Your Side report. Tonight at 5, we'll introduce you to the distraught homeowner who can't get rid of a house guest who's only supposed to stay for a while. Check out this breathtaking sight in the skies above Pittsburgh. NASA cameras captured an image of a 45,000-mile-an-hour meteor. The meteor created a fireball in the sky and startled some residents early Tuesday morning. The meteor likely emerged from the asteroid belt that circles our solar system.
Some people might say that wasn't a meteor. You never know what it really
Government
was.
Conspiracy, right?
Right.
The White House is taking on violent extremism and looking for a way to put an end to groups like ISIS, not just in the battlefield, but in their ability to recruit people.
A 3-day summit just wrapped up where President Obama asked dignitaries from more than 60 countries to join this war against extremists. He said to stop new recruits, everyone must work together to challenge the justification militant groups use for their actions.
These terrorists are desperate for legitimacy. And all of us have a responsibility to refute the notion that groups like ISIL somehow represent Islam.
Extremist groups have been using social media to recruit some 20,000 people to join their fight in Syria. The president says the U.S. is partnering with the UAE to create a new digital communications hub to counter those online recruitments.
There is a superbug outbreak, and it's just one state away in Southern California.
Federal and state health officials are looking into 170 patients who may have been exposed to what is a deadly bacteria. Already 2 deaths have been linked to the superbug at Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center. 5 others have been infected and 170 exposed. The bacteria is called CRE, which may have been spread during complex endoscopic procedures. And doctors say it can be lethal.
When it gets out of the intestinal tract into the bloodstream, can create very serious disease with fatality rates approaching 50%.
The hospital discovered the outbreak last month and has now been alerting patients from October to January who may have been exposed. By the way, the scopes responsible have been removed, and the hospital is now using more rigorous decontamination process to make sure they can control this superbug.
That's all for us at 4 o'clock. Thanks for watching.
Stick around. The news at 5 is coming up next.